Yeah, this Cassidy the Hustler. Shout out Mikey T, the movie star. We on a report card radio. Stay tuned in, man. You already know how he carry it. Easy.
Man, Cassidy, I appreciate you coming back on the channel, bro. How you doing today?
Can't complain, man. I'm feeling good. Just came back from my chiropractor.
That's what's up, man. It's good to hear that you're keeping your body right, man. Cass, I wanted to dip back into something we didn't speak on in the last interview, man. I want to go back to ask you about how Larseny family was actually formed.
Um, well, Larseny family, we started off as like a clique. I was always a solo artist, and two members in Larseny family, Shiz Lansky and Kyle Akbar, they was in a group called DGA. With one of my best friends that got deported. He got sent back to Trinidad for a case he caught. But they was all in a group together, and they was like a few years older than me. So when I was coming up, I used to be like a neighbor of them and friends. Like they had like a little cousin, and we was in a group together called LSD, Lyrically Sharp and Dangerous, and my name was Little Sharp. So when we started off in a group, when I first like originally started rapping, not originally, but after a while, we formed this group, and we used to go over there and listen to their giveaway, which had Akbar and Shiz in it. And I used to study them, hear them, because they was really doing songs like with choruses and bridges and singing and melodies, and I was just writing raps on some battle shit. So I started listening to them, started zoning out, and they started giving me inputs and things like that when I was like a kid. But I made a transformation from when I was a kid to when I started getting nice, getting on the radio, on the cypher. So I went from the young boy to when they used to just look down on me and practice around me to us like a clique, like we all rapping together and we being like a team and me holding my own. So when I met TD, that was Swiss Beats' dad. I met him in Philly in a barbershop. He the one that called me out to New York to meet his brothers, D&Y, the CEOs of Rough Riders. He called me out there because he was impressed by how I was rhyming for him in the barbershop. So when he called me out to come to New York, I brought Shiz and Akbar with me and told him to come with me. And when we got outside the meeting in New York, I said, man, these niggas they never heard us before. They don't know if we a group or not. We a team. I know y'all shit. Y'all know my shit. So when we go in there, y'all back me up. I'm going to go ham in the beginning, then I'm going to back y'all up. We do some group shit. You never know. So that's how we went in there. That's how we carried it. And they fuck with us all. And after we came out the meeting is when we came up with the name, Larseny family. So we wasn't even a group when we went in the meeting, but we came out the meeting a group. And we got signed to Rough Riders as a 3-man group, Larseny family.
Yeah, because I remember being young and hearing the name Larseny family attached to you, and I just thought it was gangsta back in the day, just Larseny being in the name. But so you had begun to mention in our last interview who was actually the original members of it. So were they the original members, Shiz and Akbar?
Yeah, me, Shiz, and Akbar was the original 3 members of Larseny family.
So was there ever a point where you signed paperwork for Larseny family with a label or maybe for distribution?
Hell no. Only with Rough Riders. I mean, we signed a production deal with Rough Riders as a 3-man group, but never signed a deal as no other type of deal, no.
Yeah, so because what I mean is Larseny family never really was going to form to a label like sort of how like G Unit was or anything like that?
Well, these companies is just production companies. That's what Larseny family was going to become, a production company. Just put the music together, and then you still need distribution from a main label. The same way like Full Surface was my production company, but I was signed to J Records, Sony BMG, Clive Davis, and Charles Goldstuck. Had an artist deal with them. That's where the budgets, the money, that's how I was able to do hotel, shoot these videos. This is where all the money came from. And my production company deal was required to put the music together. We was responsible for putting in the work in the studio and making it happen. So That's all Larseny Family was. We was a group at first, and once we became a group, then I made it a production company. And when I made it a production company, I was planning on, putting artist projects together. And I started. I did. I made even AR Ab and all of these people came through Larseny Family Entertainment. I dropped the album Cash that came through E1 Distribution, but that was on Larseny Family Entertainment. All of the mixtapes that I was dropping for years, for the last 15 years, I've been independent. So everything that I was dropping was coming through Larseny Family Entertainment, which was my production company. Larseny Family was originally a group. Larseny, just the group Larseny was a group. But then Larseny Family became a production company that I own. But now I got a new production company which is called Mayhem Music. So now all of my stuff that I release is under Mayhem Music, not under Larseny Family Entertainment no more.
So you said that. So Arab was Arab brought on to Larseny Family as a solo artist or as a member of that group?
AR never signed a deal with Larseny Family. I never signed AR. So I like AR and I knew what it'd take to make them big. But I didn't even have my situation already edged in stone where I was going to go or what I was going to fully do with my production company. So I ain't want to lock people in. I'm not in here to just have a bunch of artists sign the contract to say I got a bunch of artists and then try to figure it out. Like, I already knew where I was going and what I was going to do. I knew it was going to take time. So I never signed AR or none of these dudes. I never signed them under no paperwork. I just was teaching them the business and showing them how to get to a bag and how to get lit, like, and how to format songs, format projects, how to just do everything. I was just showing them that. And then they could take that and do whatever they wanted to do with it. They could stay loyal and stay down with me, or they could just sign with whoever, do whatever they want to do. Like, I never had them locked down in no type of situation. We was just rocking out together.
Sort of like how Gucci Man, blossomed major artists like Young Thug and the Migos. I look at it like that because Ab really, like you said, when he parted ways from you, he really became his own artist.
Yeah, and we was never really connected or parted anyway. Cause like I said, I never had him under contract or had him in no deal or made no never told him anything was gonna happen. I just told him that, like, you know what I'm saying, I could show him how to get it right with this music shit. Like, I know the science. I could show you how to get it right with this music shit. But I never had him under no contract. I had him signed. I just wanted him to figure it out on his own and eventually take it to whatever level he wanted to take it to. So it was all up to him. I just know that whether you got to deal with somebody else, with me, on your own, or whatever, it just requires a lot of work ethic. It's not just easy. It's not like you could just, you know what I'm saying, just play around into a bag. Like, they manipulate you and think that happens, but that's not what really happened. Like, who really could benefit or figure out ways to eat is the hard workers that take advantage of opportunities. And I felt as though that's what I was trying to teach people, building up their work ethic. When I came around Ab, he was dope, but he wasn't working. He had a couple of verses and wasn't working all the time, wasn't writing like that, wasn't on his job like that, because with a couple of verses, if you the hottest nigga around, it's like you could keep saying a couple verses and it look crazy. Like, you look like the craziest nigga in the world. But I'm talking about to the industry. What about when you got to jump on a mixtape, then jump on a DVD, then you got to be on songs, then you got to do this? Like, them verses is going to be gone and you got to keep coming. You got to keep coming. So I was focused on building niggas' work ethic up and showing niggas what it take to get in the game, because I was in it at the time.
So, Cass, I appreciate you for breaking that down for everyone. I think a lot of it is facts. And, Ab definitely appreciates what you've done for him in his career, giving him a light. He said it multiple times. But I wanted to get your take on, or maybe you could tell me, did you give Arab the full surface chain? What was the whole situation behind that? Would you mind breaking that down?
Of course. Yeah, I gave it to him because I got out my contract with Full Service. That was my production company that I was with. So I got free from them and I got free from G Records, and I was independent. I was going in a new direction. So The full surface chain was like old to me. Like I was in another bag. I was getting different chains, going jump in a different zone. I wasn't repping full surface at the time. I wasn't signed to full surface no more. So it was like an old chain to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't really, but it was something big for Ab. Like, you know what I'm saying? To have that type of big piece and just be connected to what full surface represented was big for him. So that's why I gave it to him. You could see him in plenty of videos, plenty of DVD footage we had. Me with Wild Other chains on and him just wearing it. It was for the team. Like, you know what I'm saying? And because I didn't sign him, it's not like I was going to go run to the jewelry store and go buy him a Larseny family chain because I didn't get no money. It was no money. It was no paperwork done. There was no connections. It's like you couldn't do that type of situation. But it was still, he was still my man at the time, and I wanted them to look good. So, you know what I'm saying? He was still moving around in the hood. People were seeing him, but seeing him with me. So I wanted them to look good, so that's why I let him hold that chain.
I want to speak about your first time meeting Meek Mill.
Uh, I don't even remember the first time I met Meek. I knew Meek for a long time, so the very first time I met him, I don't even remember.
Was it sessions with you, Swizz, Meek, and ARAB? Could you remember any of that for me?
Nah, I don't never remember that. I don't remember that. But I remember like I was working with AR Ab at the time, and he was telling me about Meek. He was like telling me Meek, you know what I mean, telling me Meek was hot and all this. He was doing his thing. So you know what I mean. I think Ab might have even introduced me to Meek. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't even remember how I met Meek, but I think Ab might have introduced me, like took me down north somewhere where Meek was at to like one of the houses he was at, and he came out. But at this time, Meek wasn't Meek. Like he ain't have no records out. Like he might have had some shit on the streets that niggas knew, like to know he was hot. But I'm talking about I was in New York. Like I wasn't in the city. I'm moving around. So you would have had to do it a little bigger for me to know you. So they start telling me like, yo, he doing little shit, and they start playing me his music. But he was like up and coming. Like he wasn't like lit or like Meek or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I seen potential in him, like his work ethic. Every time I would come back down to check him, he would have new songs or new mixtapes about to drop. Or he'll always be hitting me like, yo, I'm working on this, or I need you on this. Like his work ethic was crazy. So I started go to the city and check him. I remember when I first grabbed my bent, I went through the city. We was running around. Me, him, and his peoples, we are driving around. We went out to eat wild times, but a lot of times he would call me to the studio. We would work on records. I even bought him the jersey in the studio that I was working at. We worked on more records. I had a show in New York City in Manhattan. This one he was dropping the mixtapes. He was like lit in the city, but in New York, they wasn't like all the way familiar with Meek yet. So I brought him out on stage, let people know this my man Meek, let him perform out there. So we had like a little relationship. We did a lot of records that you could pull up, like even that record he had, I'm in my bag, I'm in my bag, no, you know, I'm in my bag. Like that I'm in my bag song he had, I think it was me and Gilly on it. But I jumped on the remix to that. I jumped on a lot of records with me and threw him on records with me, him, and AR. So, you know what I mean? I've been was fucking with him from the city and always wanted to see him accomplish the most and do his thing.
Wow, so you actually can credit ARAB with actually bringing Meek to the table. Do you think that's possibly a joint venture that you could have done?
With me?
Yeah, looking back at it.
Um, well, I was talking to Meek about it. I even offered Meek, at that time, my production company was up and running. So I offered Meek a situation where he probably could have, you know what I'm saying, released some music. But he had his own focus. He had his thing he wanted to do. So, you know what I mean? I ain't really press it. I just threw it out there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
He could have probably did something. Who knows, man? But like I said, I ain't signed AR. I wasn't signing people, so I wasn't really ready. He probably understood that. Like, I wasn't ready for an artist. Like I was just getting independent and figuring out how I'm gonna move as a businessman for my own brand. So I was more focused on myself. If I was still in the same place and had the same machine behind me and everything, then I could have focused on signing artists and doing things like that. But I was just focusing on regrouping my own brand, so I couldn't I couldn't have focused on another artist at the time anyway.
Cass, I want to ask you, how would you personally rate your return to battle rap now that we're 3 battles in? Disaster, Goods, and Arsenal.
I'm the GOAT, man. I'm the biggest thing in battle rap. Sold the most tickets. Um, sold the most pay-per-views. Um, the most viewed battle rapper. Even when people blog about my battles, it put up the most numbers. So it's like I'm the biggest thing in battle rap, whether people like it or not. A lot of people like to go by like the crowd response, like on booze and stuff, to determine who wins the battle or not. But that's not how you really determine who's the best rapper. And that's why I keep bombing on niggas even after the battle. Got a record called 5002 and 0 on all platforms. I bombed on Goods after the battle. I got a record called The 100 Clip that I produce is on all platforms where I bombed on Arsenal after the battle. The Disaster battle was so long ago, but I got records too where I was bombing on him too, before and after the battle. So I don't stop. Like I just know I'm better than niggas, so I keep going until niggas just submit and just like, all right, you the best, you better than me, and then I just let it rock. Same thing I just recently did with 40 Kyle. He tried to come back to battle rap and act like he was on my level, but he ain't even put up 1,000,000 views yet. None of his battles did over 1,000,000 views. I don't even think if you put them together, they did over 1,000,000. But they definitely didn't do over no 1,000,000 views. He didn't sell no tickets, didn't sell no pay-per-views, and still wanted to try to act like he was my type of energy. People started bringing my name up and he started hating. But the last time I seen 40 Kyle, it was all smiles. He was acting like he was my biggest fan. But then he just getting on blogs and start talking crazy. So I had to release a record on him too. It's on all platforms. It's called Go Left. And it's been out for over a month. So he ain't respond back because he know like he don't really want no trouble neither. They just be wanting to set up battles with me because they know it's a big opportunity for them.
So, Cass, you actually said that when it comes down to a battle, you're always at the table. Could you tell me what's the next battle that you're eyeing?
Oh, I never pick my battles. Once the people offer me the money that I say I want, I tell them to pick whoever they want. So Disaster wasn't my pick, Goods wasn't my pick, and Arsenal wasn't my pick. Those was all the people that the league picked. And that's why I ain't really take it serious, because I'm thinking like out of all of the people in the world, or out of all of the people that y'all could pick, y'all pick these dudes. I feel like they disrespecting me. All the work I put in, all of the shit that I did and accomplished, not just in rap, but even outside of rap. How could y'all put me against these type of people? So what y'all doing that is like, I don't even take that shit serious anyway. And even not taking it serious, I still come out there, outwork niggas, have more material, wrote, and just be better than niggas. So it is what it is.
So, in terms of how the battles are set up, though, Cass, is it like a multiple battle agreement? Is it one by one?
Yeah, for these dudes, they be slaves. They be locked in contracts. So they gotta listen to whatever the league owner tell them to do. But me, I'm one and done. You bring me the money I say I want, I take that money, I give you the one battle, and then I'm back to doing me. That's why my first battle was with Alki David. Um, it wasn't really a league, but he was working with the King of the Dot people, so people thought it was like a King of the Dot thing. So that was a whole thing, different thing, King of the Dot and them. Then I came over. My second battle was Smack, and then Smack wanted to set up the thing in Philly. So since it was in Philly, it was a big thing. That's why I came back to Smack again. Now, I told you Jag at the end of the month, he doing something with RBE. So, you know what I mean? Mayhem Music, Gold Gang, we raiding RBE. But I'm not locked into no battle league. Like, I would never do that. Like, ever in my life.
I want to speak on Sue Surf's recent battle with Loaded Lux. Did you get a chance to see it, or has anybody told you about it?
Yeah, I was busy when it went down, so I couldn't check it. And I was going to check it afterwards, but I heard Surf choke so much. It's like, I predicted Lux to win that battle anyway. Like, I just knew Lux was like a better rapper.
You know, How much does it diminish somebody like Sue Surf's credibility in battle rap to choke in a battle or stumble even?
Um, that's like choking and stumbling and then giving up is like being in a boxing match, getting your ass whooped in the round, not getting all the way knocked out, but going to go sit in the corner and then not coming back out. Just not coming back out the corner and just they throwing a fight like that. But you don't get all the way knocked out. You just got your ass whooped and now you don't come back out. Like it's the same as that. It's like giving up. It's like quitting. I don't like that. And it show you ain't prepared. Like how you choking. Like the last time people heard Surf probably was like a long time ago. And you had only had the right what? It was a 3-round battle, so you only had the right three verses. How can you choke? Why are you choking if you getting money and that's what you do? You're supposed to be a battle rapper. So to say 3 verses, that's easy. I remember I was in battles and I said 30 verses and didn't choke. Didn't I said 30 verses smooth, no choking. 30 verses. So you only got to say 3 and you can't do it. It's like, what is that? Like that shit ain't shit.
All right, so Cass,
I respect these dudes as much as people be trying to they be trying to hype these dudes up like they so dope. And I've been saying, like, man, I don't even respect niggas like how y'all been trying to make them seem like they so nice and all that.
so Cass, we left off on our last interview and we didn't speak on the incident that almost claimed your life. Can you remember at this point for me what happened in the car accident?
Um, nah, I don't remember the car accident, but I got in a car accident in Jersey. Um, went into a coma for like 9 days. Then I suffered from amnesia, so I lost my memory. So it took me time to get my memory back. Remember all of the hit records that I wrote. Remember how to rap again. All of the tricks and the things that I taught myself about writing and all of the things I had to get that back again. So once I got that back, that's when I started working on my Bars album, the Barry Adrian Reese story. So it was right after I came home from the jail situation. They was trying to give me life without the possibility.
So that day, can you even remember what you were on your way to do or what you had planned?
I was on my way to the studio. I was going to pick up Neo the Matrix. He a producer that I was working with at the time. He did a lot of dope records like AM to the PM. I still move work from the AM to the PM. Back, back, back. Like Neo, he produced that record. So we was going to go pick him up. And pick him up and then go to the studio. So that's where I was on my way to.
So, Cash, you sort of explained, that it put you in a coma for 9 days and it gave you amnesia. So that sort of explains how it affected your life. How did it affect your music career at that point?
Well, when I came out of the accident and I recovered, I still had my same situation. I still was back by the machine, still was signed to J Records and Full Surface. And the Bars album that I worked on came out under the same situation. So I still had the same support that I had from the first and the second album. So nothing really changed with the music. It's just the way that I was making music, the type of music that I wanted to make at the time was a lot different than the first and second album because of what I just went through.
Facts. There was a lot of anticipation behind the Bars album. You reunited with Swiss Beats. What do you most remember about that album, Cass?
Um, the record that the first record that I produced the first record and then made that album. And it was like when Swiss flew out, we was in Arizona recording the album. And Swiss flew out somewhere and Neo was asleep. And I had finished all of the beats that I had already, so I was ready to work on something else and I ain't had no more beats. So I just went over to the MP and started working on a beat on my own. And the first beat I made, it made my album. So that's one of the most memorable things about that album.
Wow, that's interesting, man, because a lot of artists even like Chief Keef making their own beats now. Everybody knows they've been talking in the last year and a half about you making your own beats, but you were actually doing it since your third album.
Yeah, but that was just the first beat I made, and I ain't even have a beat machine. I made it off a Neo beat machine. So like a little while after that, Swiss bought me my first MPC, the 2500. He bought me one, so he must have seen potential in me because the first beat I made was hot. So he must have been like, "Yo, this nigga, this nigga got potential." So he bought me an MP. But even when I got the MP, I was so focused on rap that I wasn't really locking in like a producer would. So like every 6 months, like every 3 months, I'll make a beat and it'll be hot. Like, but I wasn't really locked in. I wasn't really taking making beats serious. So I did do a couple more beats, like on other projects that I released, like Mayhem Music or the Cash album, like other albums that came out. I produced records, but I would only do like one. Like I wasn't really like locked in, like where I could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the last year, 8 months, I've been really consistent, like really going in a lot more, learning a lot more, getting my sound more developed, learning how to jump in a bunch of different bags and just learning how to work these machines. So recently in 2020, I released about 13, anywhere from 11 to 13 new records that I produced myself and wrote 100% of.
On June 9th, an arrest warrant was issued for you on charges of murder, attempted murder, reckless endangerment, among other things. You ended up surrendering yourself on June 17th. How did you go so long until actually turning yourself in?
Um, that's so long ago. I don't know. I don't even remember. And I was doing my thing. Like I had an album about to drop, so I was moving around at the time, and I ain't even understand. I ain't even know I had a warrant. I found out I had a warrant when I was in Sony's studio. I was working in Sony's studio. I had a session, and I looked on the computer that was in Sony's studio, and it was on one of them like MTV.com or some shit. One of them like shits from back in the day. But they had it posted up there that I had a warrant and all of this stuff for my arrest and all that stuff. But I didn't even know I had a warrant. So it wasn't like I was running from the warrant. I didn't even know it was a situation.
What do you remember about the days leading into turning yourself in?
And I found out that I had a warrant. I'm not going to let them, I'm not going to just like go to a show and let them just run down on me. So I got with my lawyers and all of that, and they arranged for me to set a date to turn myself in, but not have to go through like questioning or like if a regular cop find you and he questioning you or doing whatever. Like, nah, you take him straight in. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no questioning, no nothing. He goes straight to jail and we deal with it like that. Because I had my whole legal team set it up and do it the right way. So once I found out I had the warrant, I got with my lawyers and they started putting the plan together. So I was just waiting for them to tell me when I had to turn myself in and when the time was right.
So, Cass, on June 17th, you turned yourself in. June 18th, your bail was denied. Do you remember how much bail was being proposed for?
Uh, well, the first time I went to court, I ain't have a preliminary hearing, but the judge still gave me bail. She gave me bail for $500,000, but they appealed it because I didn't even have a preliminary hearing yet, and you can't do that. That's like illegal. So they overturned it, and I wasn't able to place bailed in. So that's probably that first date you're talking about. Then they set up my preliminary hearing. I had the preliminary hearing. The degree level of the murder was important to determine the bail. Like whether you could get bail, because in Philadelphia, if you charge with like first degree murder, you can't get bail unless, like, you know what I mean, the prosecution just give it to you or they come up with some special plan, but you can never get bail. Only if it's like third degree murder or involuntary manslaughter, what it could have possibly been. So they gave me another bail. They set for the murder, they set it for 2.5 million. And then they set it at $200,000 for each attempted murder. So it was $2.9 million. And but they gave the prosecution 30 days to appeal, and I had to stay in jail for that 30 days until they appealed this bail that they gave me. So
Right.
you know what the did, they waited to the 30th day and then they appealed it. And the reason why they returned the bail was because they said that even though, like, I think they lowered it to third degree murder, but they said even though it could be third degree murder, it could still be this, it could still be that. So they had to make it go back to in general murder, all of that. And when they made it go back to that, I couldn't get the bail. I couldn't pay the bail that the 2.9 million that they presented. I couldn't do it. So I had to sit until trial. So that's why I wanted to get a speedy trial. So I forced my lawyers to get a speedy trial. I ain't want nobody else locked up. I ain't want nothing else to happen. I wanted to just get my shit over with. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it went down.
That's right. So your bail was denied, and like you said, you were forced to spend another 30 days in jail. So that meant you were going to spend your birthday in jail at that point, Cassidy. So I wanted to ask, how was your experience in jail on your birthday, nearly at the height of your career?
I barely celebrate birthdays like that anyway. So in there, it probably was just a normal day to me. You know what I'm saying? But it probably added to the stress the fact that you're not out. You know what I mean? But I already facing so much trauma that it's like I don't even remember what I did for my birthday at that time. I don't even remember, man. I don't even remember my birthday when I was locked up.
Yeah, that just struck me because I saw that your birthday was July 7th, and then I was like, wow. And I was reading this information.
I was more mad because I got locked up a couple weeks before my album I'm a Hustler dropped. So I was more mad that my album and a lot of the business that I had set up was passing by and I wasn't able to meet that and do that. I was more concerned about missing those things than, you know what I mean, the birthday. But maybe when I did realize it was my birthday and I wasn't out, it did add to the fact, like, you know what I mean, you probably felt even fucking worse, like.
You couldn't smoke. I see you like to smoke.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But Cass, just so we can move on from it, could you tell me what charges you ultimately had to take on your record and how much time you ultimately had to serve?
8.5 butts. I did 8.5 butts at the county. I got involuntary manslaughter and aggravated assault. I think was my charges. And I had to do the 8.5 months, and then I got 10 years of probation.
Damn, that's crazy for a man at the height of his career, Billboard charting records. Now, like, you must at this point had at least 4 Billboard charting records, if I'm not mistaken, and then taken from the height of your career and thrown into a cell for 8 months, basically draining out your career so you weren't as popular when you came out.
Yeah, and my bank account. It's like that was the time that I was going, like, you know, the first album is when you learning the business, when you just situating yourself, when you proving yourself. So this was my second album, which people thought, like, it's hard to do it again. Like, maybe you get lucky the first time, but the second album, and for the second album to be even harder than the first one is, like, kind of hard to do.
Right.
So I created that. And even I'm a Hustler was the first platinum ringtone. It was selling. It was going crazy. And if I was out to actually promote it and do a lot of the tricks and the things that we had set up, it would have been even bigger than that.
Your third album would have been a lot bigger if you had been able to do the promotion for your second album, if you hadn't been taken away.
For sure. And another thing was the timing. When this thing happened to me, like if it would have maybe happened nowadays, it could have even been beneficial. I would have maybe even been able to get my story out more. More people would have understood what I was going through and how I carried it. It would have been more publicized now, more ways for people to understand what I was dealing with and going through. But back then, it was harder to find out information. So everybody that was fans wasn't even familiar with what I went through. With the jail situation or the accident, a lot of people wasn't even sure. And then even people that heard I went through the accident heard I died. Some people still thought I was locked up. I never got out of jail. So it was like a lot of confusion. So that's the reason why the third album ain't go as smooth as possible. because there was a lot of confusion. And then when you did hear the music, it wasn't the exact same music from I'm a Hustler, Split Personality. I was in a different bag. But if you would have understood what I went through, if they would have painted the picture and people would have seen the story, it would have made sense. But it was like confusion because I don't think the masses understood what I was dealing with and going through at the time. And even to this day, like I still be posting shit to this day, and people still figuring out a lot of pieces of the puzzle to this day. It's just hard to put it all together. A lot of people was confused, and that's why I think um, it didn't go as smooth as possible. And a lot of the things that I was doing on the Bars album was before its time. A lot of the things that I was talking about with ratting and people not carrying it a certain way is happening now. But now people seeing rappers doing it as we speak, so they understand what I'm saying. But I said this 10, 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But people just starting to understand the things that I've been saying. So
Yeah, Cass. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of dollars you missed out on by being taken into custody while your album was out. All the performances and the appearances you were going to get for I'm a Hustler, they just drained that. 8 months, that's a lot of appearances you were going to do. Like you said, before you even knew you had a warrant, you were on the road in different cities doing different things. So it really stalled out your career, man. But I'm glad we could talk about it here together. So in the future, when we do interviews, we can move on to the new stories, to the new projects. You know, I just feel like it's important that we cover the history that, like you said, a lot of people might not know because they didn't have the direct contact to get the information back then.
for sure.
And that's why I do this shit, Cass, because when I was younger, man, when 2008, 2007, 2005, I didn't get enough information on my artists, you know, the artists that I was interested in. So I was like, I want to make an impression on the game so people aren't out there feeling the same way that I was feeling.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I appreciate you for doing this interview, bro.
And to bring the facts to the streets, man. That's why I be tapping in with you every time you reach out.
Appreciate you, man.